This is Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell on the Forge Audio Network.
Forge fans, welcome back to another episode. Today is June 9th, 2023. I'm your host, Mackenzie Barwell, here to give you all things Forge. The team was out for an early and rainy training session this morning. Tomorrow's game day, so high focus but slightly lower intensity in preparation for a very competitive matchup, arguably between the best teams in the league right now. So we'll get to that later. We also hear from Terran Campbell and Kwasi Poku to get their insight. Campbell having played majority of his career with Pacific FC, so he in particular has an interesting perspective. But first, let's have a look at how Pacific have been performing recently. They're currently sitting second in the league with 4 wins, 3 draws, and a loss. Forge sitting just 1 point ahead in the standings, actually, so not the most comfortable lead, especially considering Forge have played 9 games while Pacific only 8. A few players to watch out for in the lineup for Pacific FC, including goalkeeper Nico Giantsopoulos. He leads the league in saves with 27 and is also tied with Tristan Henry for most clean sheets, both of them having 3. Midfielders Sean Young and Adonijah Reed are performing well and tied with Kyle Becker for leading assists. Sean Young also yesterday announced as Player of the Month for May, and that is not the only recognition Pacific FC would get from the league. Yesterday, head coach James Merriman was recognized as Manager of the Month. He's definitely made an impact since joining with the club, now holding the title of winningest coach in the club history with 22. So Pacific FC looking and probably feeling confident in where they're at, coming off that 6-3 victory as well against Vancouver FC. I spoke to Terran Campbell, who is the CPL's top goal scorer to date. A lot of those goals coming from his career with Pacific between 2019 and 2021. I asked him how it feels to play his former club and if he's got a little extra motivation going into tomorrow. Here's what he said.
No, I wouldn't say extra motivation, but of course it's always nice to score goals, so hopefully I can put one against my old team back into the back of the net.
You guys matched up with them about a month ago now. Very close game, but you came away with a 1-0 win. What do you think made you guys successful?
Just our defensive structure. I think we did a really good job when we played out in Victoria. I think we did a good job of defending. They were on the ball quite a bit in the second half, so I think if we can do that and also be good on the ball, I think we'll be fine. The right side is definitely dangerous. Kunle Dadaluk's definitely a dangerous player on the right side, so he can whip in a good ball for their strikers. They have good attackers, so they can all bring a bit of something to the game.
So apparently no extra motivation for Campbell going into the match tomorrow, but I don't know. How can you play your former club without a little chip on your shoulder? But maybe that's just me. I also spoke to Kwasi Poku about the team's mindset going into a high-stakes match such as this one. A lot can change in the standings, so here's what he had to say.
Played Pacific many times in our history, and we know how to exploit them, and we've just been working on exploiting those weaknesses in training, and we just can't wait to get out there and get back on winning ways.
From your experience, are there any players to keep an eye out for on Pacific that you have in mind?
Obviously, the veterans in the league, like Aparicio, Angaro, guys that have been in this game for a long time and, just know what to do when they're out there. So we'll obviously keep an eye out, but we're more focused on our game plan. Watching
tomorrow's match, you may notice that Garven Metusala is not in the lineup for Forge FC, and that is because he's been called up to the Haitian national team. He'll be training with them this weekend as they prepare for the Gold Cup. So not to worry, he's not injured, but pursuing a very special opportunity there. A huge congratulations to Garven. And before we wrap up, let's have a listen to what Coach Bobby Smirniotis had to say today at the pre-match press conference. He spoke a little bit about Forge's approach and what he's seen from Pacific in recent matchups.
Yeah, I think it's easy to look at one score, and you look at that 6-3, and you'd say they've scored 6 times, but they've been scored on 3 times as well. And there's a game that's a little bit of an anomaly because at 2-2, I think Vancouver was quite good with some opportunities, but they left themselves open to the counterattack. You leave yourself open to the counterattack against a very good team like Pacific, like Forge, you're going to be punished in the open field. And I think that's one thing you always have to be aware about in those situations. They're a very vertical team when they get themselves going forward. And they've shown in matches where they don't necessarily need the ball all the time that they can be a little bit more clinical.
That's everything you need to know from this morning's training session and the pre-match press conference with Bobby Smirniotis. You can tune into Anthony's matchday preview for a more detailed analysis of what you might expect from either side here at Tim Hortons Field tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And for those of you wondering, as of now, the game is scheduled to happen, as I know some of you had questions regarding the air quality, but the forecast is currently showing that the conditions are safe. So I hope to see you here, or if not, tune into One Soccer. That'll wrap up the 5th and final episode of Forge Daily. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back on Monday.
This has been Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share.